Yo, what's going on, y'all? I told y'all I was gonna do it. I got my whole new setup right behind me. I just got my green screen, so now we about to just basically experiment and try to make it to where y'all can fully see the videos now. So I'm excited for this milestone, and if you're excited for this video, go ahead and hit the like button, go ahead and hit subscribe, hit the notification button, and just leave a comment and let me know how you feel about this new setup. Is it cheap? Does it look nice? You see, I got all the green all behind me. I got the whole little thing, so my chroma key should be on point.
Boy, if you don't.
So yeah, first off, today we're gonna be watching a different, not some different videos, just some more horror stories. So this first horror story that we're gonna be watching is called "There's a Man in the Woods." I think a lot of people on YouTube are familiar with this video. I'm not familiar with the video. And then right after that, we're gonna watch a video from a channel called Llama Arts. So what we gonna do is, we ain't gonna do a bunch of talking. Let's go ahead and just get right on into this, and let's get this cracking.
There's a man in the woods. What a spectacle. Before the story started, this school was still respectable. My students used to skip down the hill to the honeysuckle, pluck a couple, and collect their nectar till they picked their fill. Except one obnoxious kid, Sid, who just watched them eat the flowers while he seethed and scowled because he couldn't bear to share his sweet treats throughout our recess hour. I remember Sid saying,
So let me guess, when he gets older, he's gonna become like a killer or something.
"There's a man in the woods."
Okay, so he's
That's
warning.
how the rumors began. Of course, Sid had spotted him first. The poor kids. He got him immersed in his spiel about a serial killer whose gun barrel glint hints at peril. A visit to the nurse, or worse, a hearse waiting just beyond the dale. The children saw him everywhere. "Look, over there. That man had Batman ears. We swear. And crazy yellow eyes. We saw something rusty. His shotgun? It must be. I saw a lady's severed thigh." Trust me, every word I heard was absurd. Yet each day Sid would stray down way past the playground. Who else was brave enough to save us from the killer's next plot? The rest of the lot would stop back at the blacktop, sure that any closer they were bound to be found deep in the woods, left to rot. I pleaded for the kids to think and learn to be mature, but after a few more rumors doomed my attempts to prove the school was secure, their fear was undeterred, and when the buses drove them all home, the parents finally heard. Everything just blew up. I received a wall of emails and calls full of shrieks, wails, and all from terrified families who'd heard word of the murderer and didn't like my lack of action at all. What was I supposed to do? Comb
Oh, so hold up, wait, is they mad at him about that shit?
the whole forest? Yeah, right. Would you? That means I didn't care? That's not fair. The stories that were you weren't true. Of course I would feel regret had there been a real threat and I ignored it, and some poor
This nigga the killer.
kid got kidnapped while the kids were napping. But you couldn't admit that your good little kid would formulate a fib, so you ignored what I said. Your little angels could never cook up such incredible creations. An overactive imagination maybe, but my kid could never lie. How dare I? Accuse a child of being dishonest? Just monstrous. The parents were displeased, and when the PTA took action, they dismissed me from the classroom. Like they knew what was best for their kids. Do you know how difficult it is to get a job when a bitter mom slanders your rep with child neglect from the outset? Now who's in control of your classes? Single file lines? Single file lines. Little vile swine, a killer by the pines. Really? Are you blind? Will you find your spines? Sid, a child decides to fill our minds with lies, and the next thing you see is people treating me like I'm committing crimes. I was in my prime. Those kids were lucky to have me. Do you see what you did? But I can play along. I can be good. Do you hear that, Sid? There's a man in the woods.
So basically, I don't like how these two windows came, but that ruined the whole vibe. But basically, the little boy created some killer, some imaginary killer, but in all reality, it manifested within him. That's crazy. It's crazy that a kid can make you that mad to the point where you wanna fucking kill the kid. So really, he's a bitch ass nigga, if you ask me. So yeah, that was that video. And what we gonna do? We gonna go ahead and get into another one. Let's go to Llama Arts and see what they got cracking.
This happened in April of 2021. My region hadn't been hit so hard by COVID, so most aspects of our lives were normal. I had graduated in 2020 and I needed a job. I was 18 at the time, almost 19. I wasn't studying and I didn't know what the hell to do with my life. So in March, I got a job at Pizza Hut as a delivery driver and kitchen hand. The night seemed normal. It was one of those days that didn't seem like anything interesting would happen, but those are always the days when the unexpected happens, you know? It was around 10:30 on a Saturday night. We closed at 11, so it was just me and my boss during the last hour. As usual, we got a late order. It was close, and I had finished mopping and sweeping the floor, so it was no hassle. My boss was always prepared for a million orders to come at the last minute, so he asked me to do it as fast as possible. The restaurant was located in a plaza on the main road. The traffic was consistently heavy on a Saturday, so I avoided the main road and took the side exit. Even though the plaza was in one of the busiest parts of town, this street, however, was always so dark and empty. This street was also really long, so all you could see were the traffic lights about 500 meters ahead. Something was confusing me though, like my eyes were playing tricks on me. There was this black shadow blocking part of the lights, and there was this metallic object shining in the light above.
Bruh, I hate driving in the middle of the night and seeing something on the road, bruh. I hate when that happens. Except me, I ain't gonna lie, man. I don't know if it's culturally, but if I'm driving and I see something, I just keep going, bro. I don't care what it is. Like, I just keep going. I ain't got no time for no scary shit.
Bobbing up and down like it was floating. As I got closer, I could see the bottom of this dark silhouette. It looked like it was walking. I realized it was some drunk idiot dressed in all black walking on the road. Or so I thought. I couldn't entirely see them, and I didn't know what they were carrying, so I approached with caution, preparing to brake or swerve. I got close enough to see this person was dressed in a long coat with a hood similar to a cowl, which is unusual where I live. I turned my car lights on bright and honked my horn, hoping that they'd move to the side or something, but they didn't even flinch. Finally, I got close enough to see that it was some asshole dressed as Death, carrying a scythe. Something was odd, though. People, even if they are on the sidewalk, usually look over their shoulder at an approaching car, but they didn't. As I drove past, however, this person ever so smoothly looked right into the window of my car on the driver's side. It gave me such a fright, like when people clap in your face. I passed them too quickly to see their face, let alone see what gender they were. After I passed them, I looked into my rearview mirror trying to see them, but it was so dark. I stopped at the traffic lights, and that's when I started to panic. I remember those scary clown guys who used to block people's path and tap on car windows, so I went through the red. No one was on this road anyway. I pulled over to the side and tried calling the cops at the station, just in case somebody hits them, but no one answered. I remembered my boss told me to hurry, so I just went on with the delivery. I got to the house and parked on the side of the road, and I gave the people their pizza. It's always awkward handing over the pizza in silence, so to make conversation, I told them what I saw. They laughed and said that it was probably someone making a TikTok. I laughed as well. I guess it was a pretty good prank. I got in my car and went to start it, but I couldn't find the keys. I checked outside my car as well, but I couldn't find them. I searched for ages, but no luck. I started to panic and kept thinking about that person I saw on the street. I jumped into my car and locked it from the inside. I almost started crying when I heard jingling. I looked to my right to see that person dressed as Death, holding my keys, staring into my window. I felt everything in my body pulsating.
It would have been smoke off the rip. I don't care if you playing or put my keys down, fam.
But I couldn't move. It was like they were staring into my soul. Eventually, I started acting on instinct. I don't remember thinking or doing it, but all of a sudden I was holding down the locks inside my car. My car is small and only has 2 doors, so I could easily reach across and hold both the locks down. They started spamming the car remote and trying to open the door. I was using all my energy to hold down those locks.
They could just smiling at you, hitting the buttons. On, off, on, off.
I don't think I'd ever used so much effort and strength before in my life. Again, I froze. I tried yelling at them, but I was holding my breath. Finally, a peep of strange sound came out as I gasped for air. I started screaming profanity at them. I screamed so much that my words became gibberish. A feeling of numbness took over my body, and I couldn't hear myself screaming anymore. My whole body was being controlled by my anxiety, and my ears were ringing. I was sweating profusely. All this time, I couldn't take my eyes off them. This person, this thing, standing over my car with a scythe. I knew that if they got in, I wouldn't stand a chance. The shadow from the hood hid their face. Was this even real? They stopped trying to get in and just looked at me. I started screaming out of exhaustion, and I became dizzy, and my vision was blurred. There was a silence, and then about 10 dogs started barking close by. This gave me hope. While leaning on the scythe, they lowered their body and put their face only a few centimeters from the window.
Skeleton.
Finally, I could see this person had covered themselves with a skull mask. We both froze and just stared at each other. I couldn't help but look into their eyes. The eyes, there was something unnerving about them. They didn't look like they were holding in laughter, like it was a prank. Through this creepy skull mask, I saw that they just looked...
He's just at the window, and you just standing there like...
curious, like how a little kid looks at an animal in the zoo. I shut my eyes and started calling for help. I had been screaming for so long, why couldn't anyone hear me? I feared that fatigue would take over, and they'd get in. At this moment, I swear I was almost convinced that death had come to collect me. I remembered my phone had Google Assist. With my hands still in the locks, I tried my luck and said, "Hey, call 000." It worked, and my phone contacted emergency services. I could not describe the feeling I got hearing the voice of the operator on the other line. I heard the blunt jingle of keys dropping. I opened my eyes, and the person dressed as Death had disappeared.
Oh, his bitch
I
ass
tried
ran.
looking around, but I
This bitch ass nigga ran. Nah, you already here. Run the fade, bitch.
didn't want to move. I just spoke to the lady on the line while holding the locks. She told me to keep doing what I was doing, and that she was sending the police. I waited on the line with her until the police arrived. It felt like hours, but it was only around 10 minutes. I told them what had happened. Because the person was threatening and I feared for my safety, I was required to make a formal statement to the station. They told me they'd keep it on file. The officers spoke to the people in the neighborhood, and none of them heard me scream or saw anything, and they were used to the dogs going off at night. I found my keys around 2 meters from my car. I called my boss, and the officers followed me back to my work, where I signed out. I then followed them to the police station. I called my parents, and they took my statement. It was almost 1 a.m. when it was finally finished. This was a couple of months ago. but sometimes it feels like I'm going crazy. It was probably some asshole messing with me, but they just looked so curious, like they were studying me. Or they enjoyed watching me feel helpless and terrified. I still do deliveries, but I never leave my keys in the car.
So basically, just looking at that story and seeing everything that happened, this is what I think happened. This boy was driving one night. He seen somebody who was trolling, and the dude, whoever was trolling, thought he was soft. He said, "Yo, I'm gonna go up and I'm gonna keep trolling this boy." So when the dude dropped off the pizza, he said that boy that dropped his keys. He probably was walking past, walked up, grabbed the keys, and then was like, "I'm gonna keep fucking with this nigga. I ain't gonna do nothing to him. I'm just gonna scare his ass and just start trolling and doing the bullshit." That's what I think happened. And then, he went home, wrote a story. And that probably was just some old regular goofy ass one of these Instagram niggas who probably be getting dressed and doing cosplay and weird shit like that. He probably went home and laughed all about that shit. That's probably what happened. Next story.
One night last summer, two of my friends, Sam and Jake, convinced me to sneak out with them and drink. We were all bored, just looking for something to do. We decided to go for a walk to a local gas station that was open 24 hours a day. The walk there was pretty uneventful. We talked about random topics and drank a couple of beers. Once we got to the gas station, Jake had to use the bathroom. When he was in the bathroom, there was a dirty, sketchy guy in there. Jake struck up a conversation with this guy. It was pretty normal, except when the guy asked why he was out so late and if he was by himself. Jake brushed it off as the guy was just trying to tell him to stay safe. We bought some snacks and we noticed the guy following us around while he was talking to someone on his phone. We left soon after, and on the way back, we sat on the side of the road and
that was one thing about us when I was younger, man. If you even followed us, like one of us would have said something to you. I'd be like, "What? Yo, why you following us?
We got a problem here? We got a problem, nigga?
Like, at no point y'all always say nothing."
talked for a while as we drank some more. It was pitch black by now because there are no street lights in the area. We saw a car coming down the road, which was no big deal. We sneak out pretty often and we've never had any real problems. Cars usually just drive by. This time was different. The car spun around in the road and pulled up right next to us on the street, and two guys got out. We ditched the beers, got up, and sprinted down the street. Jake and I hid behind an RV, while Sam hopped a fence. The two men looked dirty, like they hadn't showered in days. We watched the two guys for a little while, which is when we noticed that one of them had a gun in his hand. They looked in our direction for a few minutes before they got back into their car and drove off. Jake and I looked for Sam, but we couldn't find him, so we decided to head back home. We thought we had lost them, but on the way back we turned a corner, and those same guys were sitting in the car, waiting there. We ran through the alleyways and backyards until we lost them. Every few minutes, we saw the car driving slowly down a street or alleyway in the distance, and we would hide. Eventually, we made it back, and Sam messaged to tell us that he got followed by a different car, but he made it home safe. It's been almost a year since that night. We're always more cautious when we go out, and Sam still has nightmares about being abducted. I don't know for sure if the guy from the bathroom had anything to do with it, but we believe that he's somehow connected to it.
Yo, shout out to Llama Arts for all the dope videos. I mean, I guess what I can say about that last story is that was just weird. No, I feel like, I guess it's some people out here that's just really into just doing weird shit and abducting people. I would never understand the point of a man abducting another man, but you never know, black market, all that extra fly shit. I don't get into all that. But I appreciate y'all for watching this video. And if you enjoyed this video, man, let's do some more. So it's really all up to y'all. Whatever y'all ask for, y'all demand, I'm gonna go ahead and try to bring it for y'all. Probably next time I won't be as high as I am now. But yeah, go ahead and press like, subscribe. Go ahead and leave me a comment. If you enjoyed this video, shoot, come on back to the next one. So y'all go ahead, have a nice day.